Well, everyone, welcome to the From Busy to Rich podcast. Our podcast exists to inspire advisors to increase their profitability and the quality of life for themselves, but also for those that they serve. Wes, thanks for being here today. Great to see you as always.
Excited to be here, Andy.
Well, we've got a guest today. Why don't you, because you've got an existing relationship and have for many, many years. I'm interested to hear how far back you and Ryan go, but go ahead and introduce your guest real quick and tell us, how long have you known each other?
Yeah, no, I'm super excited about our guest today. One of my really, really good friends. That it's close to 2 decades. We can't identify exactly the first time we met, but we met both. Came in the business, large mutual insurance company, and we bumped into each other at enough trainings to where we figured out we liked each other, and we wanted to start strategically thinking about the futures we were creating. So I had a lot of commonality, and Ryan Daus, who's our guest, I'm going to have him kind of walk us through a little bit of his story. Not just where things are today, because that's important. I want to get there, but also what they were like when we were new, and the pivotal things. Because one of the things, having known Ryan for a long time, is he thinks deeply about decisions that he's making, about the disciplines that he's following. So as you'll learn, his success is not an accident. It is very rhythmic, methodical, thought out, not without like wrong turns, of course, like we all have, or things that we tried didn't work. But I just love what he's created and where he's going. I mean, I think it's just a super exciting story, and I think it's going to really, be a blessing to all the advisors that are listening today. So Ryan, thank you for being a part of the podcast today, my friend. It's great to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You bet.
Ryan, let's start there. Let's start with the origin story and how you had it super easy early on and just were handed all of your business. I'm just kidding. So tell us where you started and what the early days were like.
Yeah, I've heard Wes's story so many times I could probably tell it, but like him, I had just this phenomenal natural market of drunk college buddies. But I was a finance major, and I actually went to a career fair just to get a name on my resume. And I figured, well, I'll just get this internship. It'll be a name on my resume. And I had a conversation with, at the time they called them managers. Now they're partners of a large mutual insurance carrier. And basically the pitch was, yeah, we're a great company. You want us on your resume. You should do this for 6 months. I thought, yeah, well, that's a great idea. So, I was waiting tables, going to school full time, got my insurance licenses. I think I won like the intern of the year for the company. And I don't know that the stakes were very high, but
of course you won. Of course you did.
Started getting, a little bit of experience. And then over like the next year and a half, I was going through school. Well, one is great because you're used to being broke in school. And I was kind of waiting tables to pay the bills and then slowly accumulated some securities licenses. And then, by the time I was graduating, I had a small, book of business and was just ready to go. And so it kind of went from there. And I will share a story because I know you guys have a lot of folks that are building their business, but we started out, I did a lot of business walks because I wasn't great on the phone, but we would walk into businesses and basically try to talk to them about health insurance because that's what people want to talk about. And I remember we had a particularly challenging day of getting not a lot of progress. And so we walked into this place. I won't say the name, but they built cedar houses. And so I knocked on this kind of a simple office, and the guy opened the door and we gave him our cards. We're with, ABC Insurance. I said, "Oh, you guys selling life insurance?" I said, "Yeah, you guys selling junk homes?" And he did not become a client. But it was, it was a great experience.
Turns out you were working on your language. You're still mastering.
Working on some language. So yeah, I mean, we started just a lot of boots on the ground and the company had a good process, and I followed that as best I could because I figured they knew a lot better than I did, and just kind of grinded it out.
Well, tell me, Wes has a perception, obviously, that you were doing some things right. And again, I don't know if there was, one of 2 interns and you won the award that year for, you beat out Mark or whatever. But tell me some of the things that you did do early on that you think benefited. Was it hunger that you just like, I'm just going to work harder than everybody else? Did you find yourself just better at explaining products to people? You sound like you didn't have a real natural market. Did you just sell to every table that you also waited on at the same time? Would you like, would you like fries with that? And would you like life insurance? What did you do early on that worked?
Yeah, no, funny. I didn't pitch any of my tables. I probably should have in hindsight, but I was probably too afraid and scared. I'm what you would call a recovering analytical. So I was really a student of the business. I read a lot. I studied a lot. I got a lot of licenses and credentials early on, but I was always, a little bit of an introvert and talking to people. So I just tried to force myself to get into those situations. I did join some networking groups. BNI, that's a nationwide one, good or bad experience, but it got me in front of people and made me talk every week to a group of people. We bought leads. We, worked with other agents, business walks. I pretty much anything that was out there, I was willing to try it. And the expression is, get comfortable being uncomfortable. I was just uncomfortable a lot.
So tell me when you started to feel like, I'm going to stick with this. Like, obviously you went past the 6 months for the resume, right? You're like, okay, it's firmly on the resume, but the 6 months had passed. What made you say, I want to keep doing this versus go do whatever else you might have been able to do with the degree?
Yeah. I've always been drawn to finance, and as the knowledge build, it's really fun, helping people put the pieces together. Even when you're new and you feel like maybe you certainly don't know it all, you probably know more than 95% of people out there, especially for the new people. People, they just don't teach this stuff. I was a finance major and I maybe had 1 or 2 courses in financial planning. They were electives. So, being able to help people with that knowledge and then I've always been drawn to the idea of building a business, right? You can build this business with very little capital, it's just sweat equity and you can build a nice residual business. And, we've done a little bit of things in real estate and some others. And what I love about this business is, if you take care of people and treat them, they stick around. We have a very high retention rate that I'm proud of, and we don't do anything magic other than we try to do what we say we're going to do, and we return phone calls. And people seem to like that.
Yeah.
And Ryan, I'd love it to take a second because I definitely want to come back to some of these thoughts. And I want to come back to the idea specifically of that you early on had a mindset that you were building a business, not just going to a job. And I think that's a key distinction of our friends that we've been in this thing for 20 years that we look at that some of them, they basically created a job for themselves full time that is not bad or wrong, but there is a difference in the mindset to building a business. But before we dive into that, so help me remember to come back to that, guys. Talk about the way things are set up in your world today, like a day in the life of you, year in the life of you today in the practice and how it's been built.
Yeah, well, it looks a lot different. There's still a lot of things we want to improve and grow on, and we still do.
How many walkabouts did you do today before?
I did not do any, luckily.
Okay, good. So you're saying that model is no longer the key driver to what you're doing?
It is not. Thank God for that. It is not. Nope. We had a meeting earlier that was a referral, and it looks like she's coming on board. So that was great. We have a staff of 6. We're based in West Michigan. We have clients in probably, 20 states. Zoom's a great thing, and COVID in hindsight maybe helped that somewhat. I dare say it was good that we had COVID, but people are more open, right? I know You've been remote for a long time. Yep. I have 2 assistant planners and they see clients, and, I see sort of the top, 70 clients we serve. We just skinnied our book up quite a bit. We serve about 200 households. So the fraction of that's me, a fraction of that's them. I have a really, really good director of operations that runs the office. And when I say runs the office, like he runs the office. My job is to see clients, prep the meetings and do the post meetings, and he handles everything else. And then we've got a really good systems person for client prep, client review, and then really sort of a master schedule / marketing person. So that's our team.
That's awesome. And would you say, so one of the things, again, we talk about on the podcast a lot is that we believe that the future of this business is that you are the product, you're a curator of great ideas, and you have ideas worth paying for. do you to walk through? Are you a fee-based model, or are you AUM only? How does it? How's your like as a percentage? Do those things you think shake out?
Yeah. Well, I was worried you were going to ask me to say, how do I describe what I do in a crowded room? Because I still wrestle with that. But I would say we are a fee-based holistic planning firm. Probably about 90% of the clients we work with at this point are going to pay either an ongoing retainer or at least an initial engagement fee. And, you and I were talking, we went through coaching series together. I've been through your program. I think I was actually in the pilot version, which is
you were. We tried a lot of stuff out on you.
Yeah. I did go back through it again, I think last year, and you've certainly cleaned it up a lot since the initial. So, tip to the cap to you, but it's well enough. So no, the language, is the same with everybody. And then usually at the end, we have a few options for them. Again, especially with me, almost all of them are going to be in a engagement fee-based arrangement. Some of the other guys, it's an offering. But you've spoken to this, and I guess just to the advisors that are thinking and looking at it, there is a lot of fear. And I remember going through that transition because I was pretty hardcore insurance for a while. And then we started doing investments. We started doing more investments, but to steal your language, we're always dancing and you're hoping to get paid for that dance. And, it's just the psychology that changes when, we have something of value. We don't need to give it away and people are happy to pay for it. And just like they pay their doctor, their accountant, their lawyer, and that shift. And when they actually pay for something, funny thing happens, right? That they take it a lot more seriously.
Yeah.
And if they don't do it, that's okay too. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're a big proponent of that. It's just really worked well for us. And I think it keeps a very high level of engagement with the client.
And Ryan, that's a great explanation of your current infrastructure team, which is truly able to create value, whether you show up in the office today or not. They're still meeting with clients. They're still moving projects forward. Did you hire all of them at once?
No, the progression, right? I think like most is, I think it was like maybe my second or third year in the business, I hired a really bad assistant, really bad, because it was like one of the few that responded and that was willing to work for $6 or $8 an hour or whatever it was. And just wasn't very good. And then
you had a thorough vetting process for that.
Yeah. I was like, can you
tested them Colby, right? Working Genius.
I don't know. What's Colby? So then we had a secondary person who was also not great. And then it kind of went that way, almost like a rotating door for probably 5 or 6 years, probably longer than that. I've had some decent people and then I hired, I will take credit, Josh, who's with me, probably about 9-10 years ago. And so he's an AFA by our common definition, but he does a lot of service work. He's great, but it's pretty clear that I'm not a great manager or hirer, is that a word, of people?
It is now.
So then I had, Justin, who runs the operation, came in as an agent and he did a great job, but, kind of hit some of the walls in the second year and was kind of, floundering. And so we had a conversation. I said, look, you're awesome with people. You're great. I want to figure out a way where you stay on the team. And so that evolved to him being sort of the service person and then him ultimately leading the office. And so the past 4 or 5 hires, have all been him. And it's kind of like, we need to hire somebody. Okay, go do it and let me know who you choose. It's, everybody we have now is far better than what we had in the past.
Just a funny story on that. I don't know if you've got any that could even match this. But I once had an assistant, is when I was still going through like first assistants and I was out of the office most of the times when we were still in a brick and mortar office with a bunch of other advisors, in like a general office. And it's pretty high end, it's like the old wood everywhere, and receptionist. Yeah. Real classy, and I came in and the manager of the office asked to see me and he said, Wes, listen, I need to have a conversation with you and it's about your assistant. And I said, oh, okay. Well, what's going on? He goes, yeah, I'm going to need you to tell her to wear shoes when she goes to the bathroom. I'm dead serious. This is an actual conversation that she would walk from my office with no shoes on into the bathroom. So, and so it became a very interesting next conversation with her. It's like, hey, listen, I'm going to need you to wear shoes. And this was a real question from her. She said, like, all the time? And I said, as long as you're in the office, you can do whatever you want at home, but just all the time here. So anyway, I agree with, man, when you're first hiring people, and maybe, and this is legit, I get it. When you're new or you're hiring that first person, you reach a point, and thank God you're at least thinking of hiring. So if your advisor's listening, this is a key takeaway. If you're going to create something great and you're going to have a quality of life for yourself and be able to make the maximum difference to your clients, this can't be a one person show. You need other people because you're not good at everything. And if you spend time doing the stuff you're not good at, you can't focus on the things you are. You see, Ryan, in your case, the amount of people you've built around you, it's like a constant evolution of your capacity to do the things that you do best. And you didn't hire them all at once. And it wasn't because you had all the money ready to go, I'll bet, on your first hire.
No.
So but to get there, I mean, how critical, if it, was it, would you say, when you got that really key good person in there that to accelerating your growth?
I mean, it's huge because, what's the expression, right? You're either going to hire a secretary or be one. And, just getting somebody in there, even if they're not amazing, they're still taking some things off your plate and freeing you up. And, it's levels on levels. And so then you add to that and you upgrade, and, you're not going to find the best people the first time around, but you just keep building and building. And as we grow, our people have grown. And as you said, it's just much different. You go a lot farther with a group, right, than as an individual. So it's nice to have people that are there supporting. And like you said, I think it's an honest conversation we need to have with ourselves, is we are not good at everything. There's a lot of things I'm really bad at. And having that honest conversation going, okay, well, maybe I should spend my time on things I'm good at, that I get paid for, and not on things I'm bad at. And there's other people who that are really good at it, and they actually like doing it.
And they like it. That's right.
And I just want to punch a wall because it's like, how can you do? But okay, great. This is perfect.
Wes, I want to ask you, in working with as many advisors as you have, and then Ryan, as you've been in the business this many years, I do think that there's obviously the first level of, who, not how, which is just stop doing the things that you should not be doing. You literally should not be doing those things. Even if you can, and I think that's administrative, obviously, to that's the easiest, lowest hanging fruit there. But there's this next level of, like, I start to build a team, right? You bring on other advisors, you bring on a marketing person. I wonder if we could talk for just a few minutes. I'd love to hear both of you address this idea of the operations, that person that really could be between you and the rest of the staff, someone who is literally running the business. That to me seems pretty rare, but when people lock that one in, when they almost remove themselves from managing people day to day, I think that's the next level, right? The first level is get a bunch of people, and the next is put someone in between you and all those people. So Wes, and you as well, Ryan, like what are your thoughts on that next level for maybe advisors who are like, I have a staff, but it seems like it's more work, not less work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll say a couple comments. I'd love to hear Ryan talk about this, but I will tell you that every single quarter, and we just got done doing this, we do what we've called, and we've talked about it on the podcast before, our 10-5-1 exercise. And what it is, it's a list, and we'll put some up in the show notes, examples of these tools that we use, that we created, that you're welcome to use, for each position, like a lead advisor that's doing some of his own or her own, analytical work behind the scenes, service assistants, all these things. But whatever it is, every team member goes through and by every activity that they're doing, and they add things if they're not on there. You list a 10, a 5, or a 1. A 10 is, it is mission critical for this to be done, and in light of our organizational structure, for me to do it. It adds the greatest value to our organization. A 5 is, this is important and it needs to be done well. Might not be that I should necessarily be the one that can do it, that should do it. Like we can either hire it or move somebody else on the team to do it. And then a 1's just stuff you should stop doing completely. Like it was great maybe for some season, but not anymore. Equally as good is then we layer next to that another 10-5-1, but this is, how much do you like it? Like how much joy are you deriving from this activity? And is it a 10? Whereas I just absolutely love this. Is it a 5? Is it a 1? And the 1's like, I hate this. I never want to do it again. 5's like, not bad. It's fine. 10's like, I really love it. But then also being situational, because what we've noticed is like, there are times if you have too much of any single activity where it used to be a 10, it becomes maybe a 5 because it's like, I've got so much. It's like putting too much good food on the plate and trying to eat it all. Which is why for us in our growth, we figured out, hey, we've got a great growing client base. At some point, if I'm the lead advisor on every single one of them, and I know, Ryan, I'd love to hear you comment on this because you got two folks that handle lead advisor responsibilities with clients that you're not necessarily the point person anymore. But I will tell you, that was one where I love meeting with clients. It's one of my favorite things to do. But you hit a critical mass where it's too much. It's too much good on the plate. And that's why if you're going to grow and continue to expand, building that with other advisors. So that's an activity, as I would say, when we're thinking about who we add, when we add them and how they really help inform my behavior. So love to hear your thoughts around that.
Yeah. I think I want to get those notes because that's a great exercise. But
you bet.
Yeah, I think it's just 1% better, right? Like 1% better every day. You can't just go from 0 to 100, but you start to bring people on, you try it out, you make your mistakes and you fall forward and you just keep going and going and say, what did I learn? How can I do better? And then, it's always the question, hey, would you hire this person again right now? And, your business progress.
That's clarifying.
Are they still the right person for this position? Like I value this person, but maybe they're not. Maybe they're labeling the stuff I want them to do as a 1, as Wes would say, and you really want somebody else would be labeling as a 10. So I think it's a lot of trial and error, shuffling people around the bus, figuring out who's on the bus. But I guess to your question, Andy, like once I found, Justin, it was really great because then he did those things for me, right? So he took so much off that now he's doing that piece. So I'm really focusing on the stuff that I feel is a 10. And a lot of that gets done better than I would have done it and more efficient than I would have done it, certainly.
So most advisors they don't have someone that is going to manage their people, right? And so I'm curious, Ryan, as you look at your growth, how much of the growth of your business has come because you realized or admitted to, hey, I need to get out of the way on some things. How much of your growth is you've stopped doing things and how much of your growth is, you did something new?
I mean, it's a tough question to answer because to be candid, like there's still head trash and there's still me getting in the way of a lot of things. In fact, we just had a big meeting earlier this morning about me getting out of the way and things like sometimes I'll schedule clients and I shouldn't be doing that. And sometimes I'll check on underwriting because I shouldn't. Wes is smiling and laughing because maybe he does. It's like, I shouldn't be doing that. And so it's a constant battle. It's never, 100%, but I definitely, when those things are off your plate, you go and pursue those, call it your top, your 20% or your top activities. That's more time to make that call to that big client, to run that meeting, to do that little bit extra that is, really a green light activity that you would have otherwise done. So, definitely, the vast majority of the growth now, a lot of it is organic because of the systems we build. And usually when we deviate, and if Justin were here, he'd smack me because I'm the one that always deviates, but that's when you put
the problem.
Right? Yeah, I am the problem. So I don't know if I answered that great. It's hard to pinpoint.
No, I think you did.
If you let it run.
But I think what's healthy is to say we have tendencies, right? We unless we're intentional, we drift toward the direction. And I think it's for so many years, you have the muscle memory of, I'm going to check on underwriting because I need to, because underwriting, that's where things go wrong. That's where hope goes to die. and underwriting, right? So like, you're going to just check on that, right? But at some point, you have to trust other people to do that. But yeah, I appreciate it because, you would think, oh, why would he still do that? Well, because, you care, and it's a habit, right? What's another example of something maybe, Wes, that you find yourself drifting back towards, or that your staff has recently said, Wes, we got that?
Yeah, no, this comes up at least once a year, and we have check-in points that fix me with it, but it is a problem. We always call it don't use the bat phone unless you really need to use the bat phone. Mm-hmm. And what that means is every single day we have a headline meeting that's 15 minutes, and that's where when I'm thinking or having a meeting or doing things that if I have a question for somebody, rather than you just fire off that email or pick up the phone or whatever it is I'm going to do right then to stop, I just put it in my meeting for the next day because very few things can't wait till 9:00 tomorrow morning where I'm going to have that in there. But it's so much more efficient to do it that way because, especially if you're the point leader of your organization, your words weigh 1,000 pounds. Especially people that you're not, like maybe newer folks that haven't worked or danced with you for a while. You say, hey, can you check on this for me? Well, you might not mean drop everything you're doing right now and go check on this thing. You're just saying, hey, I kind of want to know. So instead, 10:00 or 9:00 every morning, we have this check-in. So here's what happens though. So I know the rule. I created the language around the rule. The rule is, hey, we wait till 9:00 because otherwise you can pick up the bat phone. You can break the rule. But understand that's what you're doing. Because what happens is all of us operate in a state of flow, and it's what's really easy for people to just ping you to death, especially if you're in the same physical location. I think a lot of times that's because you're right there, right? And there's certainly positives that can come from that, but also the negatives are, you're right there, and so yeah, it's okay to interrupt. So, but we do it digitally too. It doesn't matter, and so what we do is we have this standard that says, hey, if it is not absolute bat phone material, don't pick up the bat phone. Don't send the bad email to say it's an emergency. I need to know now. Cause that's what you're putting out if you can't wait till 9:00 tomorrow morning. Now, the number one, and this is so consistent, violator of that rule in our organization is me. So I get it. And I really work hard not to do it. And I'll usually do good for about 3.5 to 4 months once we've talked about it. And then I'll be like, well, and I do it. And I go, oh, that was just once. I won't do it again. And, but my people, the team that we're surrounded with, very transparent. They're very good at, when we do our quarterly sessions of, all right, what do we all believe is a part of our organizational health that's not happening? And they're fine to point at, well, you have picked up the bat phone 19 times, this thing, and it was for this and this and this. So I think you have to have transparency and vulnerability with your people. They need to feel comfortable telling you that stuff when you're not, and you're going to go, yeah, no, you're right. I need to fix it. And then it's, but I will tell you, that's just a funny one and I find that one to be one of those that's universally true across the board that there's just so much that could easily wait till the next day. You wouldn't create unnecessary interruptions to someone else's day. And again, remember your words, and some leaders are not very aware leaders. Your words weigh 1,000 pounds. So a lot of people you tell, go, hey, I want to know about this. I'll put more important stuff aside that I would define as more important, and they'll go after it. So that's one thought I had.
So Ryan, let's look forward, with being paid for your time, with, ideal clients. What do you still want to improve on? What do you still want to refine? How do you want your business to look in 5 to 10 years? Because at this point, a lot of people would say, oh, I want to practice exactly like his. And that's great. But I'm thinking, that there's things that you would say, man, I really want us to be better at this, or I really want us to change and grow into this. Not because you're doing a poor job today, but just because you have aspirations of different things in the future. So what does it look like? Less clients? Does it look like different clients? What does your business look like in 5 to 10 years if all the dreams come true?
Yeah, no, I think, we're always growing, and growing doesn't necessarily mean bigger, but you always want to make, things better tomorrow than they are today, right? You just have this tendency to do that. So, a couple of things. I realistically think we can double, our top line within 5 years and double it again within 10. And that's just a natural, the way the systems are set up, the way people get on the board, and the way we tend to hold people. So, I don't want to make it just monetary, but it's fun to think about, the opportunities in terms of the clientele. We're working to identify the right places. So, certain ones I'm going to work with, and certain ones the team's going to work with. And we've got systems. We're constantly working to redefine those. And then as that progresses, we're finding, thankfully, we're getting more introductions now. We did a big changeover a few months ago to an RIA space that's allowed us to open up a lot of our marketing, social media, some of these things, testimonials, and we just did a really nice booklet that we're sending, and clients really like it. And we've got a lot of them talking now. So they seem to be excited about it. So, we do this every year. We're getting ready to do our 1 year, 3 year, 5 year. I just actually hired a coach, probably the third coach I've hired, but a much higher level coach, because I think he can help me think more clearly and get to those levels that I was maybe not willing to get excited about before. And it just frees up more time and opportunity to do more of what you want. So I think it's exciting because it's literally a blank canvas. And that was one thing, kind of going a little off, but I want to get back to, is I think for a lot of the people, especially starting out, it's good to have goals and aspirations, but I would caution to take some time and really think if it's about what you want, right? There's many different successful advisors. Some have a 100-person team and manage $1 billion, and some are solo, and they all have different things. But what Wes wants is not necessarily what I want. And I know early on I had some buddies that, they were building their practice with doctors. And I really, really wanted to, I should work with doctors because this is a great idea. Well, they had these natural ins to these hospitals, and I don't particularly enjoy working with many doctors, and I didn't have those in. So I shouldn't be copying that. It's really about stepping back and at least once or twice a year and thinking about, what track am I on? And is this the track I really want to be on? Because we can all really go anywhere with this practice. And that's the danger and the beauty of it at the same time, right? There's so many tracks you can run on. So that's where I'd go.
I love that, Ryan. And one of the things that is the theme of our podcast is to increase profitability and quality of life for not just yourself, but those you serve. And I would tell you, getting to observe you from the outside and getting to come to your home and stay with you and Annie and the kids and get to walk through kind of a week in the life of you. And Ryan, this is how successful Ryan is. He has another house behind his house.
Yeah.
That is a pool house. That's really cool. And by the way, is a pool in between there. And his kids love him, and his wife still loves him. And so there's a lot of things that you can fit into a definition of what quality of life and profitability look like. But Ryan has a great practice. He makes a lot of money and is very profitable. But he's profitable outside of just those check the boxes things. It's not that those aren't important to him or to us, but it's a holistic, not just planning that he does, but a holistic in how he approaches life. And, which is one of the things that's been beautiful on my side to get to see, and really just your intentional thought and intentionality about that. Also just one other anecdote. Ryan has a sauna in his basement.
Knew it was coming.
I am probably the only other man that is sat next to him in that sauna, and Annie took a picture of it. So it is documented somewhere. It was pre-workout, nothing weird. Okay. We were just getting a sweat before he got a sweat, but that's, so that tells you a lot about Ryan. No,
Ryan, have you done cold plunge too? Are you full on both spectrums? Are you cold and hot?
It's funny because, I've been hitting it pretty hard for about the last month and a half. And
cold plunge or the sauna?
Cold plunge.
Okay.
But
is
the
your wife
Huberman
like
labs,
funny? What are we doing? Are we hot?
Yeah, the Huberman labs. Everybody should listen to those. Those are phenomenal. The cold plunge. I'm recharacterizing it, but I was doing 7 minutes a day at like 48 degrees. And I'll tell you what, you get out of that thing and you're ready to run through a wall.
Listen, we have to have a special episode of Andy doing the cold plunge at some point because
that'll be audio.
So
only.
resistant.
Yeah, that'll be audio only. I know. I'm actually. Hey, listen, Sten has one at his house, Wes. And,
I need. This could be maybe the most downloaded YouTube side of the episode.
No, we're doing audio only.
We've talked about it so many times now. If you don't,
but you're going to do audio only, and
it's really like you give it up. I mean,
you're going to have to bleep out. You're going to have to bleep out like
that's fine. We've got so much technology for it.
All you need is a tub and some ice. You got it. Yep.
So my last question for you, Ryan, is what still scares you about the future? What still worries you? What doubts still, pop up every once in a while, just being in this business?
Yeah. A lot of it is the same. It's just different versions, right? Like, I'm not worried about putting gas in my car anymore. I'm not worried about, making enough to get by. But there's still fear of rejection. It's no fun when people tell you no. And in some ways, I think the further you get in the business, the more successful you are, the harder it is for somebody to tell you no. I could brush that off a lot easier as a 22-year-old kid who, okay, yeah.
You're doing walkabouts?
Like the guy that Peter Holmes, he didn't come on board, surprisingly. So, there's the fear of rejection, the fear of failure, not letting people down, right? We've got a big team now. We've got a lot of clients that really put a lot of trust in us. And, every now and then, sometimes you wake up and you go, man, I really hope I don't let anybody down. I really just, don't want to disappoint anyone. And God bless it. We've been fortunate. It's been a great 20 some years. And I think we run about a 99% retention rate with our clients. But, when you think about some of those things, it's okay. Did I miss anything here? Am I looking at everything? Are all the I's dotted and the T's crossed? Cause we've just got a lot more responsibility now than we had in the past.
Man, I want to hit what you said because having, spent time with a lot of great entrepreneurs and a lot of great people that are, let's say we got a lot of 20 plus guys that listen to this and girls that listen to this podcast as well. And I would say the number one, kind of thing that haunts us and can be fuel, but also I think we got to deal with is I don't want to let anybody down. And you build a team, everybody has mortgages, everybody has families that they have aspirations and goals. And the lie I think we often tell ourselves because of some wound early on in our lives is you're going to let everybody down. And so and I think you can be really successful with that. I think talking about it though helps me to go, but wait a minute. Let me just take a second. And you and I have talked about this before, because if you were to go back and tell that kid, that was walking around and asking people for, trying to get in there, or tell them they built crappy homes, when you were mad. If you were to tell that kid all the things that you have right now in your life, and all the people that you've helped and all the team members that you've grown and healed together, so many different things, he'd be happy. He'd be like, this is unbelievable. And I think we sometimes in our business owe it to ourselves because I don't think it goes away. Like same thing. It comes in as, I hope I don't let anybody down. I want to hope we can keep going. Is that if we can say, you know what, well, there's going to be a 20-year-older version of us at some point. And in all probability, that person's going to be saying, sure, I'm happy about all the things we've built and all the things that have happened, but it won't happen by default. It's going to happen by design. And you've been a master of intentionality about growing your business forward. So I appreciate that about you, my friend, and appreciate your vulnerability and taking the time to share all these, all these great just thoughts with us. It's going to help a lot of people.
Thanks for having me on. It was great. And if and when you guys do that cold plunge, I'd love to see the video of Andy in there.
It's going to happen.
It's the worst episode ever. No, Ryan, thank you for being here today. And thank you for your story. I hope those who are listening or watching, I hope sincerely that you'll find the part of the story that is where you are right now. And then listen to the interview in light of what did Ryan do to continue to grow? Was it a hire? Was it taking, a class from Wes, which he did in an early version of the Transform series? There's things that he's done which includes just not giving up, doing the hard work, right? And so wherever you're at, I hope that you found some encouragement today from Ryan and from Wes in their conversation. And as always, I trust this. If you've gotten this far in the episode, then it's provided some value to you. And so for those listening and watching, we really would appreciate a review wherever you're listening, whether it's on Spotify, give it 5 stars, wherever it's on iTunes, go ahead and write a review there. We do appreciate that, and it helps other people find the show. So thank you for listening. And Wes and Ryan, thanks for your time today as well.
Great to be here, Andy.